O Ram, the company of holy sages will provide you with the knowledge of the means to attain self-knowledge. Hence one should not live in such places where such company is not available. In the company of sages, the mind of the seeker becomes quiescent at once. It's easier said than done, isn't it? I don't think it's so easy to acquire the company of sages these days, although we've certainly got access to a wealth of material. But the point of company is an interesting one. We tend to take our emotional tone, our emotional cues from our company, the company that we're in. So you would think it would be a good idea to have the company of those who are concerned with abiding in their inner truth. But even then, one should uplift oneself and not revel in the mire of ignorance. The wise man should constantly inquire into the nature of the world, the self, etc. In this, neither wealth, nor friends, nor relations, nor scriptures are of any help. Only the pure mind, which is constantly engaged in self-enquiry and which is endowed with dispassion, enables one to cross this ocean of ignorance. Part of the appeal of texts which are referred to as scriptures is that they can offer comfort, they can have a comforting effect. And I think that's why a lot of people might read them. And I think you can get a comforting effect from Yoga Vasishta. But I won't go into that, because the point is that in terms of self-inquiry, scriptures ultimately are not of any help, because it's something that you must do. And this is where some things like scriptures can actually get in the way. Sometimes they can be an excuse for not doing, because you're reading the scripture. That's a good thing to do, isn't it? You're studying scriptures. You've got your brownie points for that. But that's not what it's about. It's about self-inquiry. And if you're not practicing self-inquiry, then scriptures are useless, because that is the point. They are supposed to be helping you direct yourself to yourself. And if you're not going along with that, if you're not following that direction, then you're only going to get very limited benefit, if any, from the scriptures. So only the pure mind, which is constantly engaged in self-inquiry and which is endowed with dispassion, enables one to cross this ocean of ignorance. The very moment one looks upon the body as an inert substance, one attains self-knowledge. Well, we have to stop being involved with the body. And it's not just people in the West that are involved in the body. It's the yogis as well, the great yogis. Because a lot of their concern is with purification of the body, with taming the body. So it's not about seeing the body simply as inert substance, it's understanding the body is actually not got any intrinsic reality. It's a notion like all the rest. So you need to go beyond seeing the body as an inert substance. Seeing it as an inert substance can maybe help free your attachment to it, your involvement with it. It can help you towards dispassion with regard to the body. But you really need to understand that the body is only a notion. It does not have any more reality than the world, a notion of an external world. You might be okay with understanding that the external world is no more than a notion, an idea, a belief that we have. But you might have a problem with saying the same thing about the body. But they go hand in hand. The idea of a body and of an external world are both notions, which we have to realise that that's all they are. They're notions, they're ideas, and we need to disengage from them. When the darkness of ignorance or ego sense is dispelled, the light of self-knowledge shines. That state of self-knowledge or perfect enlightenment is beyond description. Just as the sweetness of sugar is known only by direct experience, the nature of enlightenment is known only by direct experience. That's the point. When we say that enlightenment can only be realised, not described, we think this is wonderful and mystical and as it should be. But we can say that about all experiences. try to describe a colour to somebody who's been completely blind since birth. There's no way you can convey what a colour is. We can come up with analogies, we can come up with stories of contrast, we could have emotional analogies, temperature analogies, but we cannot convey the experience of colour to somebody who's not got the apparatus or the experience of colour already. So the nature of enlightenment is known only by direct experience. Well, everything is only known by direct experience. That's all that's going on, direct experiencing. It's when we put notions, bring notions into play, and we get caught up in our notions that we forget the experiencing. When the mind and the ego sense cease, this self-knowledge arises. The mind and the ego sense are here the notions that we have about what we're experiencing, or about the experiencing. When the mind and the ego sense cease, that means we go beyond our cognitive process, we go beyond notions of self-identity, and then we're in touch with the experiencing. It is reached by the practice of yoga. It is comparable in some respects to deep sleep, but it is truly incomparable, indescribable. I suspect this passage is not quite on the ball. The only practice of yoga that it can be reached by is the yoga of self-enquiry, the yoga Vasishta. It's comparable in some respects to deep sleep. It's often described as deep sleep, but it doesn't mean being unconscious and inert. It means being unconscious and inert to the notion of an external world. But it is truly incomparable, indescribable. Vasishta continued, O Ram, so long as one does not subdue the mind with the mind, one cannot attain self-knowledge. It's about self-knowledge, not about traditional yogic practices. And as long as one entertains the false notions of I and mine, so long sorrow does not come to an end, even as the sun in a painting never sets. There is a legend that illustrates this truth. I shall now narrate it to you. That will be in the next video.